Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man Rock Force. In the last part, I defeated Fishman and Polarman, and now it's time to move on to the inner sanctum of Justice Man's castle/fortress. The main gimmick of this stage is that it takes remnants of the previous main 8 Robot Masters. So in this case, we start out with one section from Virus Man's stage, the one with all those Yoku blocks, as well as bacteriophages and these mini viruses. The one I hated a lot at the beginning part. It's still annoying as usual because the special weapons have issues with blocking all the shots. I know that the Photon Flare, Pulse Stopper, as well as the Shield, they can all block the pellets, but they do it in a not so perfect fashion. The Photon Flare, it's delayed, and the Virus Shield it can pierce through. And the Pulse Stopper needs to be aimed. But thankfully, this section's over. The rest of the sections aren't too bad. Well, except Pulse Man's section. Oh well. Here's Fuse Man's section, and also a funny glitch with the minecarts. As you may have noticed, I missed taking the first minecart, so I went back and respawned it, but by doing so and moving back fast enough, now I have 2 minecarts on screen. And I'm using it to my advantage here, as I'm able to go ahead to the previous one, skip ahead, and go to the next section. Pretty useful glitch. Here's Cryptman's intro section, with the dead hands and miners. But overall, I do enjoy the way that this stage is built, in the sense that it takes remnants of previous Robot Masters and mashes them all together in order to form a final one. Which makes sense really, as Justice Man recruited these Robot Masters in terms of their ideals. And to be fair, Justice Man's ideals are a combination of all of them, so it makes sense in my own mind. And I feel like this is comparable to how Mega Man Unlimited did its Robot Master rematches. The pre-rooms, that is. I do like the way it did it remixes better in Unlimited than here, but it's my own personal opinion. That was Pulse Man's section, and now on to Circuit Man's section. Which, unlike Circuit Man before, this is much more difficult. The main reason why is that there are no more Crypt Cloak blocks available. So there are no safety nets before and below. So your main recourse in this regard is to just be careful and slowly traverse. Just like the classic way if you didn't have the Crypt Cloak. And of course these upper enemies are still annoying as usual. Especially in combination with those spiky blocks from the hard mode. It's already hard enough in normal difficulty, but in addition with these spike blocks, Speaking of difficulty, even though I am talking so much about this game's apparent difficulty, a lot of it's due to me playing on hard mode instead of normal mode. In normal mode, the game is pretty fair. There are not that many gotcha moments, as well as moments where I felt, this came out of nowhere. Most of it was basically pattern memorization, as well as reacting to the movements of enemies, which is pretty nice. In comparison to the 2 other major Mega Man fan games out there, or released at about the same time, those being Mega Man Unlimited and Mega Man Revolution, I say this is the easiest out of the 3 ones. Mega Man Unlimited is kind of overzealous in terms of death spike usage. Death spike as well as instant death traps. I mean, they even had Yoko spikes in the bonus stage. Don't get me started on Mega Man Revolution, which decided to take enemy difficulty, stage length, and boss difficulty up to several notches. So overall, I think this game is fairly balanced and would fit in the normal classic Mega Man series in terms of difficulty. Sure, there are segments where I find iffy, but overall, I think it's fair. And over here we're back in Shockman's stage with the water droplets. or the jellyfish and the liquefied water, and these conveyor belt eye things. Also made a slight error here. I was supposed to wait for the water to finish flashing before going down, but because I wasn't waiting enough, I basically got hit by it. I also like to comment on the music of this stage. This music track is one of my most favorite out of all of them in this game, mainly because it has an epic finality feel to it. What I mean is that the way the tones are moving, the tone, theme, and the stage itself, it's giving off a tone that we're reaching the end of our journey. We're reaching the point where we'll be able to reach Justice Man, bring himself to justice, return him, and put an end to all this Maverick uprising, or robot uprising. Of course, this is Charade Man's section. It's about the same difficulty as before. You may use the Crypt Cloak to figure out the figurines and outlines of the blocks, technically. But other than that, we're done. Be careful of electrified water. And here it is, the hatch room, as most classic Mega Man games have. Time to fight off the 8 main robot masters. Of course, this time, as I said before, I'll be using their weaknesses this time, instead of going Buster only. I start up with Photon Man, who's weak against the Phantom Fuse, which thankfully due to its arcing makes it easy to hit. But yeah, considering how overpowered the Mega Man Rock 4 special weapons are, it's pretty obvious why the bosses die so quickly. They're really weak against their respective weaknesses, even on hard mode. I mean, look at Charade Man here. He's weak against the Crypt Cloak, and because of how the Crypt Cloak shockwaves work, it really takes out his question mark blocks in one hit, and takes out those blue balls in fairly few amount of hits, when normally they were in a huge pain to deal with. But now, the Crypt Cloak trivializes him quite a bit. Here's Shockman. He's weak against the Circuit Breaker. Really the same strategy as before. In fact, with the Circuit Breaker and how easy it is to aim, it makes him really pathetic. In fact, the same can be said with Pulse Man himself. He's weak against the Virus Stopper, and I mean not the Virus Stopper, the Virus Outbreak, and just look at it. It can also take out those pulses above, as well as the Mega Pulses very easily. Poor him. Here's Virus Man himself. He's weak against the Charade clone. Now, compared to the other Robot Masters, I would say he's the least affected out of the weakness. I mean, it doesn't really stun him, it just does a lot of damage. Only 4 Charade clones are needed to destroy him. Well, I would say he and Circuit Man are the least affected. The other Robot Masters are either stunned, stun-locked, pushed back, or other weird things. Well, to be fair, Fuse Man, even though he's weak against Shock on it, he doesn't really have a stun weakness. If you hit him, it doesn't really do anything other than mega damage. But he's easy enough for himself. This makes this fight go much faster. And here's Crypt Man. He's weak against the Photon Flare. And the Photon Flare really makes this fight much easier, as when he disappears and you use the Photon Flare, it immediately knocks him out of being hidden in the shadows, so it really trivializes this fight. If I hadn't used some of my Photon Flare stock when I was fighting Virus Man, I could have just one-clipped him. Last but not least is Circuit Man, who's weak against the Pulse Stopper. And of course, compared to the other Robot Master fights, I still feel like I did this fight really sloppily. And he's down. That marks the end of the 8 main Robot Masters. It's time to go after the final Sanctum. In the background, there's a picture or statues of Splash Woman, and Cutman teleports in with a free tank. Pretty nice of him. The reference to Splash Woman in the background is to the concept of Justice is Blind. You know, the lady usually referred to as Justice. That reference. In the last section we have the Spider Bombs and Spider Bomb nests. They're placed here so you can recharge your weapon energy as well as life energy if you need it. But really though, you only need about 3 with special weapons for the final fight. But beyond this point is Justice Man himself. Note the eagle in the background? The Eagle of Freedom. And as a side note, Justice Man mentions that we destroyed his brothers about 2 or 3 times already, or 3 or 4 if you count Shockman and the Fusion Robot Master fights. Mega Man tries to bring him home, but Justice Man is apparently fighting for freedom, and that's what Mega Man's fighting for. Thus begins the final battle against Justice Man. Justice Man is basically a mirror match between Mega Man. He basically has 4 sets of maneuvers. One is which he makes a pose, which indicates he'll be running left or right. Another one is when he raises his buster, which means he'll fire a barrage of 3 shots. Another one is when he raises his arms, which means he'll do a set of several jumps. And there's one where he lowers his legs, which means he'll be sliding. Basically follow those tells, react to them, and you should do fine for the first part of the fight. The weakness for Justice Man in the first part is the Shock Gauntlet. Fitting really, as that's the thing that did him in the first time. Alright, the first phase is over. Now Justice Man rises up and takes the abilities of all the 8 main Robot Masters. Well, I say takes, but really it's more like green spines. He mainly fires or manipulates a set of energy pulses. One of them is which he exerts 4 of those energy pulses out of him, sends it into a counterclockwise or clockwise pattern, and fires it horizontally towards you. Just jump through it to avoid it. Another one is when he rises up, and it creates the spread of 4 out of him, and then fires it to your current position. Just slide to avoid it. Another one is when he rises up, and then the falls to the ground, destroying the platform, and then rises up again. To avoid that, just keep jumping, and make sure to always keep moving, as he'll always go to your current horizontal position. Make sure to jump again when the ground moves, as it's random which direction it'll go towards. The other move is when he fires a barrage of these energy pellets, as shown here. Just slide and jump over it. Last one is when he fires all these death beams up, which are signaled by these sparkles. Avoid them as they're almost instant kill. But other than that, he's down. Now Justice Man's second form doesn't have an official weakness, but because of how his fighting style works, Beat is the most effective against him. But alas, Justice Man is now dead. And Mega Man collapses in a series of agony and sorrow. And thus begins the ending sequence. In this case, GoldwaterDLS decided to use the Mega Man 2 ending theme for the segment. It's more fitting than what was used in Mega Man 2, personally. This segment basically shows all the main Robot Masters Mega Man fought over the course of the game, excluding the Fusion Robot Masters and Deadman, of course. And last but not least, after the 8 Robot Masters, there is Justice Man. May the 9 of them rest in peace. Now, this last segment of the story is a bit, has mixed opinions of how it works. It was intended to bridge the gap between the Classic and X series, though it has some issues in regards to what the other Classic series games have stated. But I like it. It's a nice somber tone to end the game. It also breaks the cliche of a happy ending, or relatively happy. And in this final segment, Mega Man and Dr. Light discuss what happened. And also signaling or foreshadowing what will happen in Mega Man X about a century later. About the struggles the Reploids will face and whatnot. That's true in Mega Man. That's the question that will be asked several times in the X series. But with that, Mega Man Rock Force is now officially over. Overall, my thoughts on this game are very positive. I enjoyed the stage design, the enemies, the levels, and bosses as well. The stages could get a bit obnoxious at times, but that's mainly to me playing on hard difficulty. Well, my main complaint about the hard difficulty would be the overusage of all those instant death traps. Or, not instant death traps, but the spike balls. Really though, some of the stages were altered hard enough in the first place that the addition of them were kind of sadistic in certain regards. As for the bosses, my favorite for each sections were, of course, I would say that Pulse Man stage as well as Fuse Man stage were my favorites. As well as Power Man himself because of the boss fight. And of course the final stages were pretty fitting and nice. But overall, I say GoldwaterDLS did an awesome job at producing this game, as well as Kevin, and creating several of the music tracks, or many of the music tracks. All of them were fitting to the music, or tone of the stage, as well as being quite nice to listen to, especially the final theme. Compared to Unlimited and Revolution, I say it stands very well. It stands to the giants or standards left by Unlimited and Revolution. Would I play this again? Definitely, though at a lower difficulty setting. I definitely applaud that GoldwaterDLS put so many options for customizability in the difficulty settings. Really customize the experience. You can even play a double damage for everything run, or enforced perfect run. Pretty nice, and I wish more fan games adopted this. Alas, as the credits are over, I thank you GoldwaterDLS, as well as Kevin for the music, as well as Capcom for the franchise itself. Thanks for watching this LP, viewers. I hope to see you later in the next LPs to come. Have a nice day! Doodles!